Good morning, one and all. I got up late this morning, 10 o'clock. I'm still asleep. So don't expect this to be profound because I can't think of anything to say. It's a lot like what it feels your first like when you have an enlightenment experience. You become nothing. You know, we're all aware of ourselves at one time or another. And we feel like we exist in the body. If we look within and feel within, we can find all kinds of things that appear to be inside the body. The sense of beingness, which is one of the deepest. The darkness within, when one first begins to look within. The white light within, when one begins to see the white light. Muscle tension in the various parts of our bodies, our shoulders, our back, chest, arms. Also, when we look within, we encounter the mind with all its talk about what's going on. I feel good today. I feel bad. Got a stomach ache. I feel tense or I feel relaxed. All of that goes with enlightenment. And instead, what you experience is looking out into the world and finding, to your amazement, that there's absolutely nothing inside yourself in that experience. There's only the world. Even your body is part of that world, the observed. You, as the witness, do not exist anymore. And you go through the day living your life. Without any awareness of self inside. You do all the things you do in the morning. Go to the toilet, maybe wash your face, making a pot of coffee or tea, sitting down in front of your television, going to MSNBC to find the latest thing that the government is doing with Trump, try to put him in jail or what he's doing to stay out. And as you begin to wake up, you may feel a little hungry and decide it's time to prepare breakfast. Or you may just sit and do nothing because there's no motivation from within to do anything. You can go all through the day and there's nobody there planning or anything else. It's just happening automatically. Going to the toilet is automatic. Preparing food is automatic. Reading the newspaper is automatic. Reading your email is automatic. And there's no you anywhere to be found. And the one thing you can say is you no longer feel any tension because you're not aware of your body at all, except as an object. So there's nothing to perturb you. You are not perturbed. And Robert says you feel ever more peaceful. Well, that's not exactly true. You feel more and more peaceful in the early part of the process. But in the end, when you become nothing, there's not even peacefulness. You're just an observer. And it never gets boring. It never gets boring to be the observer of your own life. One could say theoretically that one has identified with the conjunction of the life force and consciousness. So consciousness itself, not you, is observing your life. And Jay's cat in the background. I love how cats grab our attention. Those of you who don't have a cat are missing out. After this enlightenment experience, at some point you might become aware that this emptiness of self is pervasive. You become aware that you can rest in a place and that you're always there, even if you don't know it. Where you witness the coming and going of various states of consciousness. You've gone even deeper than that initial experience of being empty inside. And now you're so nothing that you realize that the waking consciousness comes and goes to you like a wave. When the brain begins functioning, the world begins to appear. When it slows down and stops functioning, you go to sleep. Waking consciousness is in the brain, or in your head, so to speak. dream consciousness is also there. But sleep consciousness is throughout your body. It's very peaceful. But that's all that there is with enlightenment. But those experiences over a period of time result in vast changes to who and what you think you are. You begin to learn things that other people don't notice about the comings and goings of your own consciousness and who and what you are. And over a period of time, those things begin to impact your life. You no longer chase money or material things. Because you realize those are part of the thought pattern of all people that live in the mundane world. You no longer live in a mundane world. You live in a world where you're a witness to consciousness and to the life force. The life force that animates you and makes you live. Somehow over a couple of billion years, the life force has allowed you to evolve from an amoeba to something so extremely complex as a human being, with all kinds of sensory apparatuses and a brain that learns. A brain that learns and struggles, becomes a member of Black Lives Matter or the Communist Party or a Nazi party or a Republican or a Democrat, and starts living the fantasies of those ideologies. But you're free of ideologies now. Yet it doesn't feel empty. It doesn't feel lonely. You're free of them. You're free of the concept that you're an isolated human being. You can feel loneliness at a time and seek companionship. But it's not like the dreadful loneliness of being an adolescent or dreadful urge to be in union with another human being. It's just that your view of the world doesn't contain you as an entity. That's what enlightenment's about. So where does the wisdom come in? The wisdom comes in Because after the enlightenment experience, if it doesn't happen at the time of the enlightenment experience, you begin to free yourself from every concept you ever had. The entire external world that is constructed by society, by the educational network of primary, secondary, and tertiary schools, falls away. And you see that all of them are just imaginations. Everything from Keynesian economics to monetary theory, the stock market, commodities markets, Republican ways of thinking, democratic ways of thinking, communist ways of thinking. All of these are filled with drama. Which creates conflict with others who have a different point of view. For you, points of view begin to fall away, and critical discussions regarding conflicts and points of view no longer mean anything to you, because you see those subtle differences as pointless. It's like looking at two different photographs of the same scene. And to you, there's no differences. They're two different snapshots of the same scene without the meaning of any ideology providing you with a point of view. You see them as the same, as not being dripping with value, with meaning, with differences. Deep down inside, you don't care. There's nothing to grab you by the heart or the stomach. There's no longer a quest for a PhD. For some sort of societal attainment or political power. All of those things go away. And you're left empty. Now, that can seem to be boring to some if they just hear about it. But it's also freedom. Freedom from the tight grip the mind has on you, with all of your wishes and your values, Vesselina, that keep you going all day long. The conflicts with your university, the struggle to find out your meaning in life, the struggle to find out what the direction of your life is going to be. And instead, you live your life totally unguided by any principles or any mission. You just live. Whatever comes up in the moment, you live. If during that moment, your profession as being a stockbroker, you may do research on a certain set of stocks or a market. You might look into demographics. You might look into manufacturing figures for last year. You might look at the ups and downs of the various markets over the period of years and do a kind of analysis from that point of view. But you do it automatically. Your mind is not burdened with a goal. You don't care about the outcome. And you are so relaxed inside that you can spend an hour watching or playing with your cat or dog. There's no need to do a higher action other than playing with the cat. Your actions are not guided by theory or by some deep want in you. You feel complete emptiness in any action that you do. It's not significant. Even if you worship a god in this state by doing vows or mantras, it's done without any volition to gain anything. You just do it. Because that's what fate has you doing at the moment. By fate, I mean whatever is guiding the world, whether it's the power that knows the way or the principle of cause and effect or whatever. You're free. You're free from all of those principles. But somehow you still make decisions. You make breakfast or lunch automatically. You don't prepare your food based on a complex menu provided to avoid certain kinds of diseases or to bring your blood pressure down or your blood pressure up or your blood sugar down or your blood sugar up. All of that kind of research is way in the past. You may still follow them, but you do it automatically. You're way past the time when the energies course through you and are around you and make you feel bliss. Or past the time when you see the light of consciousness twisting its way through all of your experiences. Those things are in the past when you were a learner and an initiate. All those millions of things you did in order to gain wisdom or enlightenment are behind you, but you may still do them just because you like doing them. I guess you could continue to play with the energies because you like it. or you could continue practicing medicine, psychiatry, because you can see that there's a value in it from some points of view, like preventing a depressed person from committing suicide. But even then, suicide doesn't seem like such a bad thing anymore. You're indifferent. You don't have a value system anymore. You're just totally relaxed, totally empty within, and looking out into the world. You see the world now with as evincing or showing you a kind of liveliness it didn't have before, and immediacy. There's no longer the filter of mind where you're caught up in things to do during the day that are needed to be done in order to make yourself feel satisfied. How many of us feel at the end of the day that there's so much more you could have done during that day to satisfy all the impulses that go on inside of you? Instead, it says, Ian, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just fucking relax. Forget about money. Forget about COVID. Forget about dinner. Forget about retirement and all the joys you expect to feel being retired, because already you're retired. Already you're not touched by the responsibilities that are imposed upon you by your job. Instead, they become more like a workman's clothes that have to be put on at the beginning of a workday in order to complete your job. And that's all that they are. Maybe your job requires you to go into a refrigerator, so your workman's clothes comport with that kind of need to stay warm. All your choices are automatic, but you don't feel bound in any kind of meaningless patterns because the patterns aren't there anymore. They're just you living. And you're living with a joy you never had before. Because before you had obligations, things to do, points of view, conflict. Now all those are gone. Now you're just living in emptiness without values. And it's not a lonely place at all. It's not an empty place at all. It is a meaningless place, but you no longer care about meaning or attainments or accomplishments because you see that those are all of the mind. And now you're free of the goals of the mind. And instead, your mind is minding you, performing as an instrument to affect whatever you have to do in that moment. And I won't say your will, because there's no will to be had. You're completely satisfied. You don't have to move a finger to get greater satisfaction. You may move your finger, you may move your body, but it's done totally automatically. And it flows out of the silence that you rest in without anything to do or anywhere to go. It's like you become an empty robot. But boy, does that feel good. In a sense, in a way, it's like being asleep all the time in terms of your relaxation and things to do. Nothing to do anymore, VJ. Nowhere to go. No things to be performed, of course, unless you have to go to work. And then you do it automatically. It doesn't stress you. Some who come here are totally engaged with the world, exploring it, conquering it, building it, come to build empires, or come to be a king and come to make a lot of money, or to gain physical security. You're always doing something in the world, attending concerts, practicing a sport, totally engaged with the world. Now that person can always feel full because they're full of ideas, full of needs, full of places to go, things to do. But at some point, if they are spiritually inclined, they want all that to end. They want to become nobody with nothing to do. They feel all those things to do, much like steel traps that grip you with their jaws. And where they grip you, they hurt you with a kind of tension in your body. The need to accumulate money so you can buy a house, all these kinds of things. Or to continue to do to supply for your children's education, or even for their retirement. But the enlightened person does not act for any point of view to accomplish anything as an intent in your mind. What you do comes automatically with no thought. As comfortably as your most comfortable pair of socks and your most comfortable shoe. You wear it in absolute comfort. You're never in a wrinkle, so to speak. You never feel that body tension of desire or loneliness or depression. You never feel contracted or bent out of shape. And if you do, because of the concerns of the day, you can't wait to get rid of it. You can't wait to get rid of that self-imposed burden you've accepted. Yesterday, rocket was launched carrying the Webb telescope into its orbit, 1 million miles from Earth. That will allow astronomers to look an additional 300 billion years into the past, or million years into the past, towards the origin of the universe itself. To those of us who have a scientific background, it means a lot. It means we as entities can look into the past of the life force and the past of consciousness itself. But it's not of great concern so much as if a family relative, I guess that's redundant, a relative that you care for was dying of cancer. But maybe even then, it doesn't matter to you anymore because you see everything in the world. It's just a phenomena. And you're not touched by anything in the phenomenal world because you're noumena. You're the origin of the phenomenal world. But you don't see a separation either. But the surety is there that without you, the universe would not exist. Even life and death doesn't mean that much to you anymore. Because the external world has no meaning for you anymore. I want to see how many more people yawn after Frank started it. Will Mark yawn now? Or Eric? I love you all. Each and every one. We've become quite a close family. Does anybody have anything to say?
Yes, I do, Ed. After my yawn, I have heard from you this morning the clearest description of the experience I've been living that I've heard before. I didn't have a definition for it, but you've described exactly what my life feels like, is like. This morning I was sitting in meditation before you came on, and suddenly this bright light just was so bright that I threw my eyes open, thinking that it was from outside, and it wasn't. And then I was so tired I could barely move. And then I sat down with you and you began, and it's like every thought that I've had and even specifics came out of your mouth, including the part about the telescope.
About what?
About the telescope. One of my sons is very scientifically involved, and he is so excited about it. And I can appreciate his excitement. I can't find it myself. Anyway, I'm just sitting here quietly, both amused and appreciative of hearing my life repeated back to me with such clarity. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. So very welcome. Now you can go back to your old teacher and tweak his nose.
Funny, I've been thinking something rather similar.
Then that would become a new koan for somebody in the future. Frank tweaks his teacher's nose, and we'll have to see the outcome of how the master responds to being tweaked. Does he tweak back? Or does he shout with certain words that will redound in history as the Frank Hoffman koan? What will the Ian and Cassie koan be? Can they exist in the same time without conflict for more than a day? What about Vesselina and Michael? Will they be together again? What about Mark and his energies? What about Chris and his entire retirement? Will he get up every day in the morning and shouting in joy of not having to go to work? I certainly feel like doing that almost every day, but I don't have the energy to do it. I don't have the energy to get up and shout in joy because I feel much more comfortable doing nothing instead of getting all worked up about my new freedom. What about Vijay? Does he finally get a full Shakti awakening where the light and the energy explodes in him and rips his mind away from his head, and he's free even for a day? What about Vesselina? Is she ever going to get through and rid of the trap provided by the university and her parents? Or she'll no longer wake up every day thinking there's something to do to get to a place where she's rid of it. If she has to get a doctorate, an MD, just so they'd shut up and leave her alone. Or Mark going to write his first book. On the trials and tribulations of a wizard. And the cloud patterns in Enrique's life will be ever intriguing. To look up at those stratus clouds, forming a nice cover of light and dark over his head. Does anybody have anything to say? James, you never called. I sent you my phone number. Can't hear you, James.
And sorry, I got up late too. I was kind of sleeping. Yeah, I was in Sedona, had a great time, and yeah, I'll give you a call. I appreciate you sending the number.
You did receive it, right? You've seen that.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it.
Okay. Reika, how are you?
I don't like this question. Really, it's an American question. I don't know what to say.
What would a Hungarian question be?
There's the problem that also the Hungarian asks this question. Everything came from America also here. So what to say? I can't speak after satsang, you know. I prefer writing.
Okay.
Okay.
Eric, what about you?
I'm good, Edgy. Thank you.
Did you get much snow, Eddie?
Yeah, we got a little bit, not too much though.
Isn't it strange how there's Eddie and Eddie's Mike as separate attendees at this satsang? I didn't know that his microphone was a sentient being that had its own life and its own consciousness. How did you do that, Eddie? What's the
So
divine mystery there?
nah, it's just this phone is my mic.
Edgy, isn't it ironic that there's this practice called mindfulness? But the whole reason that one needs to practice mindfulness is the sense of doership of the person is what's obstructing the mindfulness to begin with. So by practicing it, one is hoping to dissolve this ongoing entity called the mundane mind, which is totally obstructing the totality of self.
Yes, it's quite curious and quite, what would you call it? Seems to be impossible to find freedom by finding your prisoner. The prisoner.
It's almost oxymoronic in the sense of self-awareness. I mean,
Yes.
it's like jumbo shrimp, I mean, it's the same kind of thing. I mean, you get caught in these word games, but something today, as I said, I'm just crushed and crumbled at your feet. What Frank said was exquisite. What you bring to us now is exquisite. Somewhere I'm trying to fathom how those who shall not be named, the diaspora led by people who have left, and one of them proselytizing for Jesus, what she said to Eric on Facebook, I still can't understand. I wish they would come back en masse, because I find your satsangs now, they are really Shaktipat sadhanas. Siddha Rameshwar, in his exquisite book, basically for the first 100 pages, extolled the treasure of the guru. And I read it and I reread it as he went through the four states of physicality through Turiya. But Edgy, I love you, and I rushed to get here. But one other thing, there are consequences in the mundane world. Yes, I walk away from it, but there are things that I can't, and persons whom I love, whom I can't walk away from because of the consequences. But I love all of those things deeper because of what you bring to every satsang. It allows me to comport myself in the world in a way that only becomes more of a miracle and more of a blessing and more grace. You are God's abiding grace and bliss and joy, and my joy in every moment and every satsang. I love you with all my heart. I love you so much.
That's
And I
so
love-
sweet. That's so sweet.
I love everyone here, with all my heart. I'm so touched. I don't know how many incarnations it will take me to have what you're having, but to know that I have it now. It's not an easy journey. It's not a fait accompli. It's mine. I just have to fall back in it, become dumb as a rock. I love you and thank you, and I love you.
What did Mary say to Eric?
Well, you read it,
Yeah, but I don't remember it.
She basically said that we are a cult of demonic creatures who have lost our way, and that simply Jesus is God, and all of this other absolute, as I said, she's a Trinitarian. She looks at the absolute as death. And when I heard that, I was absolutely so taken aback, because, and I think when you read it, you were absolutely, your incredulity was something like, and is mine. I mean, there are people like Egerman and maybe Martin and Tova and Zach and Anais who went there, who probably have for a moment lost the esoterica of the Advaita path, whom I wish would come back, because I come here, I can't not be here because it is so exquisite. I love you, and not to belabor it, but that's why my whole thing is that I can be a witness to you in these moments is just beyond my comprehension, except that there is that grace, and that Shakti brought me here and sustains me and suffuses me in every moment and every satsang. And it is why your unbound heart and love just explodes me. And I love you.
How do you feel it?
I feel it. It moves up from my hara into my heart. I still can't get out of my mind. I can't do that moment where the chatter, whatever, where my mind stops and the thoughts go down into my heart. I can't find that. But if I stop looking, I'm closer to it. As I stop looking, as I stop trying, as I go for coffee or muffins and sit there at the miracle of the moment, every single thing, not to miss a detail. And that's what you make me aware of. Awareness of awareness as the witness. Wow, God bless. I love you. I can only say it. I would love to come there and just live in the bliss and the grace. I love you so much.
Thank you so much. That is beautiful. That's
Love you.
beautiful.
I love you. I love you.
It's beautiful. I can put all my visitors across the street in my guest house, my mother's old house. It's got 2 bedrooms, but lots of couches. And we've got a bedroom here, so there's enough at least for 6 people, 2 per bedroom.
Gee. It can't be 110 out there now, but it's probably.
No, it's 60 degrees now.
Okay.
It's the livable part of the year. Have you anything, Eric?
Say Eric.
Sultanat, what about you?
Thank you for today. Today, it's I feel it warm and peaceful, something, and after I have anger, maybe I fly and don't come back.
Say that again.
I have anger, but I don't come back my body. I feel that's mean, and I distraction this mind in mind, but I relax. I not feel I'm peaceful, and some minutes maybe, and I come back in body, my distraction, my mind. You, I hope you understand.
No, but I look at your hand language and your smile, and I have a feeling for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Raju.
There was a time it used to be about me and the outside world. And every day from the time I attended this satsang, making myself become more naked. It then shifted to me and the body.
Can you speak a little louder? Closer to the microphone?
So, okay.
Shout.
And now it shifted from relaxing to the body, from the mind, even from the breath. And now self itself is becoming naked from every exhalation. It's almost like it is getting released from something. I can't tell what it is, but it is getting released. So the only word that I could choose to describe that is it's just getting stripped naked with every out breath, and it feels good. And while I can't describe in very in a way Jay does, all I can say is that I want that naked self to just trot right in front of you, touch your feet, kiss your feet, and just be motionless. That's the only feeling that I can.
That is very profound. That is very good. That is very deep. To be on the edge of complete relaxation and exposure. That's why I emphasize so much that in ordinary life, you hold nothing back. You expose yourself completely, no matter how much embarrassment you would think is in such exposure, or so much lack of protection, to just express to others exactly what you've done and exactly what you feel. To live with complete release, that there's no longer anything to be hidden. This is a very profound teaching, to hide nothing, to give it all away to the world, to not hide anything, not to keep anything to yourself. No deep, dark secrets. Of course, if revealing that deep, dark secret's going to send you to jail for the rest of your life, it's probably better to relax a little about that one.
There's an epic Mahabharata where Krishna is the sort of the hero, and he says that the statement that you made just now is that even if you have to get into prison, if that means the world for many people, then you better do it, because that will release you all the more. So
Yes.
it does feel that even at that point, if you were that free, you will make that choice because of how you are connected to the universe. So
Very good. That's not the weaselly way that I presented it. It's going all in.
no, but I think obviously it says that time will dictate what is right, what is just. I think in this world, people are talking about a metaverse and virtual universe and all of that. What we are doing is exactly the contra, because we are already in a metaverse. We are already in a virtual universe that is layered on top of us, that we are trying to get out of. So to get to the other end of the metaverse is just doubling down on that. So in that sense, releasing from this trap itself is a journey. So hopefully us and the mankind at large will not fall into more traps, but what you're doing here is releasing us from that prison that we are in right now. And thank you so much for that.
You're welcome so much. It was very beautiful too. See, I wish we all lived together in an ashram, because it's so much easier to feel it being around someone who is it. I was always wanting to be close to Robert, to just be at his feet, even though a lot of times I felt it was very boring. But whenever I was around him, I felt happy. Because I was with my guru. And I had surrendered by that time to him much more than I had ever done before with any other teacher. And it just felt so fitting and good to be at rest in his presence. I love you all. Raju, I love you too. Okay. I'm going to go back and finish the Chinese dinner I got yesterday for my Christmas dinner and finish off the, what was it? Egg foo young with veggies and soy sauce. It's a new Christmas tradition. Eat Chinese. Don't prepare the meal yourself. Splurge a little and have Chinese or Thai.
As long as it's not from the Wuhan market.
Yeah, right. Ours are from the Wong Jr. restaurant. Mr. Wong Jr. It's a massive meal. He has so much food. I had mine with lo mein noodles. I got Spencer's attention. Anyway, I love you so much. We'll always be together. Okay. I'm going to turn this over to Eric. Okay, Eric? Where are you? I can't see you. Where are you now? Wave your arm if you're there. Okay. Eric, you're on.